Guys, so forgive me, but I kind of was untruthful about the last social issue video for the day. I got another one that I want to get off my chest, and my bad. But I made videos about it in the past. I had one guest on about it in the past, but the situation in Venezuela is, it's no different from the situation that, us Africans faced in the Congo when Patrice Lumumba was assassinated by the CIA and conspirators who didn't share his vision. It's no different than when Thomas Sankara was assassinated by the same people. It's no different when Amilcar Cabral was assassinated by the same people, basically. This Venezuela situation, one can only hope that it basically works itself out in a way that will enable the Venezuelan people to be able to choose what they want, be able to choose what kind of government they want to run, be able to choose what they want to do with the resources which Allah has blessed the country with to have in abundance, such as oil, such as diamonds, such as gold, and other things, and arable land for agriculture. It's unfortunate that the powers that be are trying to put a stranglehold on the country. I will say that, the Bolivarian Revolution, it didn't address everything. It wasn't perfect. There were still things to be learned. There were still things to be developed. But the main issue about it is they're not getting the chance to develop and learn those things because of the simple fact that imperialism is taking control of them. It's very unfortunate, but at the end of the day, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The majority of Venezuelans are mestizo descent, and what that means is that mestizo is like in other Latin American countries, it can mean that you're mixed with the indigenous people there and European. In the Venezuelan case, it could be that you're mixed with the indigenous people and European, you're mixed with African and European, you're mixed with African and indigenous, you're mixed with European and African, falls under all those categories. So, if like a Venezuelan were of like mestizo descent could come to the United States or whatever the case may be, they would be mistaken for, more or less they would be phenotypically black. I even talked to one of my friends who's Colombian, and I asked him, what does Caracas look like? I asked him, like myself, like, what do the people of Caracas look like? And he told me that, it's a very small minority that is of pure European descent. The majority of them, as he said in Spanish, are mulata, mestiza, morena, and he's referring to the women there. So one can only assume that the guys are the same way. But, this is another attempt. The coup attempt today is just another attempt of the Trump administration trying to gain a stronghold on the natural resources which the country of Venezuela possesses and which the United States wants. It has nothing to do, again, with life, liberty, or freedom. We saw what life, liberty, and freedom did to Libya. We see what's going on in Libya now. There's they're in civil war even. And the same people, the same NATO heroes who caused that problem, they're not anywhere to be found to help. In fact, they're helping actually increase civil war. They're not helping to bring peace. You know, I said to myself that I can't get like too wound up in those things, because I got like, everybody got a full plate, especially if you're living in the West. You definitely got a full plate. But I just touch on these issues because, like, at the end of the day, like, I just have to like to bring awareness to like what's going on and like the bigger picture on things. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know, the underlying factor is that, you know, it's race driven. You know, this whole situation, the numero uno factor is money. You know, that's the numero uno factor. But another factor is race. You know, that's a big factor. You have to look at countries in Africa. You know, and I've said it before. Why aren't countries in Africa? Why don't we have like an example of a black nation that basically one can take an example from, follow that blueprint, and implement it in their own country? Why don't we have that example? Because if we had that example, that means we basically say goodbye to Europe, we say goodbye to IMF, we say goodbye to the World Bank, we say goodbye to all of these things, you know, if we had that example. But unfortunately, we don't have it. And you know, Europe knows this, the IMF knows this, that like if this were to happen, you know, that their hands would be cut off. They wouldn't be able to go in the cookie jar. You know, and that's the same thing we've seen in the past. When a country that the United States has interest in, when it has something it wants, but it decides it wants to do things its own way, then you're automatically setting yourself up to be a target. Because what happens is, if you set an example for the other countries, then they may follow suit, and in them following suit, it becomes a problem, because then like people like United States, people like Europe lose their foothold in the I want to say in the jar of cookies. So I know the United States was behind this coup. I know that the finances came from probably the United States. Again, they broke the law. What they're doing is illegal. And at the end of the day, all I can hope is that, you know, somehow us Africans, and somehow, you know, us, not just Africans from the continent, Africans from around the world, be it they be in the Caribbean, be it that they be in Latin America, be it that they be even in the Arab world, that we get together and that we solve our problems together. You know, that's what one can hope. Or those that, even those who recognize their African ancestry, you know, and may be like a mestizo or something like that, may be a mulatto. They recognize what's happening to their sovereignty, you know. So, with that being said, shit's imperialism at work again, man. It's a big beast that we're dealing with. It's a real big beast. I don't know how it can be stopped. It's a big machine. Because when you think of imperialism has so many weapons. They have the propaganda. They have the military. They have even the ability to shoot you dead on the street if you look like a threat. Have the ability to deport you and the like thereof. So while I don't dwell on these things, I recognize them, but just a reminder to myself, it's always going to be 10 toes down with whatever shoes I'm wearing, be it Nikes, be it Pumas. And the objective, of course, is to set up ourselves first, set up our families first, and then move on so you can, put other people on who maybe share the same logic as you. Or maybe not even share the same logic as you, but maybe just share the simple fact that something needs to be done. So with that being said, I'm out. Again, this is an example of, imperialism in action. And I just want to say something about imperialism and what all imperialism entails. I want to just say what imperialism is like a pot of gumbo, and it has different pieces in it. It has different ingredients. With imperialism includes racism. Imperialism includes exploitation. Imperialism includes fascism. Imperialism includes violence. Imperialism includes terrorism in that big pot. And we see this played out, so many times. So with that being said, let's just work towards our goals and let our goals be for self-sufficiency. Let our goals be to develop a backbone against this so-called thing we call imperialism. Imperialism also includes neoliberalism. Imperialism also includes LGBT shoved down the throats of people. Not a sober LGBT where they practice their way of life and those who don't align with that practice their way of life in peace. It doesn't mean that. It means something much different. But, it is what it is. Yeah. Anybody who I'm open to collaborating with any Venezuelan who will give a true and sober, honest view about what they want, what they really want, and what do they prefer. Very honest, very true. One who is not controlled by material aspirations, but one that has balanced aspirations. But this is Fool signing out. Off till the next one.